Green Bay in the Dome. This is tough. This is two teams with two dramatically different narratives. Could not be on further tracks from each other. Now, the game opened up New Orleans minus 6.5. It's moved to New Orleans minus 3. Over-under is 51.5. It's moved to 52 to 52.5. Some places 53. It's mostly 52.5. All right. Now I'm going to try and take my bias out of this game, and I'm going to try and give you an overall look at this game. What do we know about Green Bay? I would say right now, not much. We know that they played a bad Minnesota team and beat the holy hell out of them. And then they played a bad Detroit team and beat the hell out of them. What do we know about the Saints? We know that they had a pretty good win against Tampa Bay, and then they had a really bad loss against the Raiders. Obviously, what I just told you all about Monday Night Football teams, how you fade teams that win on Monday Night Football and you bet on teams that lose on Monday Night Football because the public is always going to be overreacting. This is obviously in this game where the public has overreacted and moved the line to 3. So minus 6.5 to 3 is a huge deal. Now, do you think the Saints are as bad as the public perception is? Do you think the Saints are actually that bad? Which one of these teams do you think is more motivated to win this game? I would say the Saints. All the Saints have heard is their shit. All the Saints have heard is their ass. All the Saints have heard is Drew Brees is washed up. All the Saints have heard is Drew Brees has a noodle arm. I mean, hell, we spent, an hour on our channel trashing the Saints? You know? I mean, this again, I'm trying to take my bias out of this. The Saints, before the season, were the NFC favorite were the favorite to win the NFC. They were the favorite to go to the Super Bowl and represent the NFC. How far away from that are they right now? Do you think they are closer to that and they'll right the ship, or is this a true decline in Drew Brees and this is just how it's going to be moving forward? That you have to ask yourself that question. That's the first thing you have to figure out when you're handicapping this game. You got to figure out if you think this is a sinking ship or if you think the Saints are righting this ship. I think that the public perception forces you to take New Orleans in this game. Forces you. I mean, I still don't think the Saints are that bad. Now, the tricky part is you can be directionally correct here. You can be directionally correct in saying that the Saints aren't that bad, but you could also be wrong in the sense that like maybe Green Bay is that good. Like maybe we're in the middle of an Aaron Rodgers MVP type situation and he's just carrying this team. Maybe that's where we are. And if that's the case, this line where it stands right now, Saints minus 3, is telling you that the Saints are on a neutral field, probably about a point better than Green Bay. Devontae Adams is out. Big deal. More than likely. That's some inside sources from chat. So this is telling you that New Orleans is like a 1 point better team on a neutral field. So the margin of error is very slim. Very, very slim. To where if New Orleans wins or if New Orleans loses by 2 points, it's like, well, shit. Even that is a better performance than the Raiders game. So even that is like, okay, well, maybe the Saints aren't that bad, right? I mean, they're not even in our top 10 ranking. We didn't even have them in the top 10 because of their performance. So maybe, even if they lose, but they play hard, whatever, then that's more directionally of where they should be. Chat, I think Saints squeak out a win. Well, then you would be on the side of Vegas. Vegas also thinks the Saints squeak out a win. I think you have to take the Saints here. If you're actually trying to look at the value and whatever. Unless you believe that the Saints are just frauds. If you are shorting the Saints, if you're selling the Saints, if you're saying that, look, Breeze is washed up, Breeze is done, Breeze is over with, then you want to take Green Bay. If Green Bay blows the Saints out Sunday, you're going to learn a whole lot about the Saints. And you're going to learn exactly who they are. But if New Orleans wins this game, then you're looking at them being right back to where we probably thought they were before the season. And all of a sudden the Saints are 2-1, and they beat Tampa Bay and Green Bay and lost to the Raiders. And it's like, well, shit, I mean, that's okay. That's not bad, right? So I think I will say I'm taking the Saints. Back to chat. Only way this isn't a Saints win is if Aaron Rodgers is the best player on the field all night and Breeze is the worst. That's interesting. That's interesting because when you think about the Raiders game, that was kind of true, but it kind of wasn't also with the Raiders, right? Like Derek Carr didn't have to be the best player on the field, and Drew Brees didn't have to be the worst player on the field. Darren Waller was the best player on the field, and the Saints defense was the worst player on the field. So we think Green Bay is better than the Raiders, right? Green Bay is better than the Raiders. I think we all agree with that. So if that's the case, Aaron Rodgers really doesn't have to be the best player, and Drew Brees really doesn't have to be the worst player. Can the Packers just do what the Raiders did and just shut down the offense and exploit the Saints defense? I would think it's more likely that Aaron Rodgers could exploit the Saints defense than Derek Carr. So if Derek Carr and Waller could literally, basically two men, really just one man and Waller, if he could completely systematically destroy the Saints defense, I've got more faith that Aaron Rodgers can see that game tape and say, okay, well, this is how we're going to do it. So I don't think this is going to take a heroic effort from Aaron Rodgers to win the game. Now, I'll say this. I think for the Saints to win, Drew Brees probably has to be the best player on the field. Drew Brees will have to have an enormous game here. This is a prop bet, but if I was betting this game, and more than likely I will have a lot of money on this game between me, you, and the camera, because that's just how I roll sometimes. For the Saints to win this game, I would say that Breeze has to come out there and let it rip. And I think he wants to let it rip. I think he's hearing so much about how bad he is, and so much negativity about how bad he is, and so much negativity about if he still got it. How bad do you think Drew Brees wants to go out there and have a 350, 400-yard game? So more than likely, I will have all of Drew Brees' overs. His over passing yards, his over completions, his over touchdowns, and just say, you know what? If the Saints win, more than likely it covers because of Drew Brees. And if they're losing, then they're letting it rip. Then they're letting it rip, you know? Bro, he had 300 yards last week. I know, that's what I'm saying. I can probably look it up right now. Let's see if I can look up the props. Okay, so his projections. So this is Drew Brees' fantasy projections are 24 completions, 277 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. If he has 277 yards passing, it's not going to be pretty. So let's say his prop bet is Drew Brees 290 yards passing. I'm taking the over. I think you're talking about max motivation of Drew Brees has to come out there and prove that he still has it. They cannot do what they did last week, bottom line. And he still put up numbers last week. So I'm probably going to get at this game with a lot of prop bets, a lot of Drew Brees throwing the ball around, a lot of Kamara, him slicing and dicing. Going back to chat here, if Adams is out, I think you will see a Green Bay offense that looks pretty similar to the Saints last week, a.k.a. not great. Adams is out, you're going to see a lot of Aaron Jones. Yeah, so, I mean, this is put up or shut up time for the Saints. And we skewered the Saints Monday or Tuesday. We skewered Drew Brees. We did all of that. And this is the time now where the Saints prove to us what they really are. We had questions after Monday night of what the Saints' ceiling is now. Are the Saints still a Super Bowl contender? Are they still an NFC Championship contender? Or are they not? And if they are not, it's because Drew Brees has declined so rapidly that he is not only not one of the best 15 quarterbacks in the NFL, not one of the 10 best quarterbacks in the NFL, but he may be in the bottom 20 or the bottom 12, I guess. So the Saints right now will figure out, or we will figure out what the Saints are moving forward Sunday night. With all that being said, I would be looking heavily at the Saints +3 or -3 in this game. And I'd be looking at Drew Brees' overs in this game. I think that motivation-wise, the Saints have to have the back against the wall. They have to have a chip on their shoulder. They have to want to win this game more than anybody, more than any team. Sean Payton has to be hearing what people are saying about him. Drew Brees is certainly hearing what people are saying about him. So this Saints team, you would think, comes out with a spine. You would think comes out hot and tries to get after it. Ultimate motivation spot. So I'll take the Saints -3 and all of Drew Brees' overs.